These are the best acting performances in Dune Part 2 ranked. Number 8 is Dave Bautista as the Beast Rabin. I loved him in this movie because his character is put under so much pressure from the Baron in this movie, and Dave Bautista perfectly captures all that intensity that you need for this. Like, you can really feel like he's actually fearing for his life. Dave Bautista actually came out and said that Denis Villeneuve, the director of Dune Part 2, actually is the first director to tell him that he's a very strong actor, and I'm just so glad that Denis saw that and cast him for this role back in Dune Part 1. Number 7 is Stellan Skarsgård back as the Baron Harkonnen. He somehow became even more creepy and unsettling in this movie than the first one. My favorite thing about Skarsgård as his character is he understands the pure arrogance of the Baron. All this man cares about is the spice and the profits from it. He does not care about anything else or his family. He's just ruthless with them. He thinks he's too big to fail, and it's an incredible performance. At number 6 is Josh Brolin as Gurney Halleck. He really is just perfect for this character. Like, as much as I love me some Patrick Stewart in my life, back in the 1984 Dune, he was just not the right fit for this character. But seeing Gurney and Paul reunite was genuinely one of my favorite moments of the film, and I also love that he got his one final stand against the Harkonnens. It was just such a badass scene. Now, in the books, there is a subplot where everybody's trying to figure out who betrayed the Atreides, and Gurney Halleck thinks it's Lady Jessica, so he actually tries to kill her in the books. I think that would have been a dope scene to really raise the tension, but oh well. 5 is Javier Bardem as Stilgar, which honestly might be a little low because he is incredible in this film. First of all, Stilgar brings the humor in this movie. Like, pretty much every joke in the film is because of him. Like, every time Paul just does literally any mundane thing and Stilgar says as written or he is the one, it was just so funny. It's not just humor, because Stilgar is also incredibly important in this movie in just showing the perspective of different Fremen and how they view Paul being the one. One of the more subtle sad things in this movie, I think, is watching Stilgar go from one of Paul's genuine friends to becoming a religious follower of Paul. 4 is Zendaya as Chani. I'm seeing a lot of hate for her performance in this. I feel like she's the emotional core of this film, and it does not work as well without her. Now, they did change a lot about her character from the book, because there's nothing in there about her being skeptical of the prophecy and Paul becoming the one, which is pretty much her entire storyline in this movie. I honestly really like the change. I think Zendaya pulls it off perfectly, and it makes sense that not all the Fremen would just believe in this thing blindly. Like, there would be a few outcasts. Based on everything that happened with Chani in this movie and how Paul's story obviously ends in this, I really think Chani is going to be the main perspective in the next film, Dune Messiah. I think Denny's been setting us up with this, especially with the final shot of Dune Part 2 ending on her. Number 3 is Austin Butler as Feyd-Rautha, just an absolutely transformative performance for this psychopathic role. Austin Butler is legitimately terrifying in every scene he's in this film. Both the duel versus the slaves and against Paul at the end are just absolutely ruthless and so good. But honestly, my favorite scene with this character is when he got tricked into putting his hand in the box. I love that whole scene. At number 2, I have Rebecca Ferguson as Lady Jessica. I was just so captivated every time she's on screen. This is an unhinged performance. Seriously, every single line delivery she has in this movie, and even sometimes just a certain look, is so haunting and menacing. This is just transformative. I really love how we don't shy away from the fact that the Bene Gesserit are just bad and selfish people. Like, we see her go from loving mother in the first one to pretty much I'm ready to sacrifice my son for what I think is the greater good. Let me know what your top 3 is, but for me, number 1 has to be Timothée Chalamet as Paul Atreides. Denis Villeneuve had said he wouldn't do these movies if Timothée Chalamet didn't agree to the role, and now I understand why. Like, watching him go from this kid that's genuinely just trying to learn and become a part of the Fremen culture and fighting this prophecy that's been laid against him for 10,000 years, to seeing him drink that water of life and then completely change as a character, give in to pretty much everything he was fighting against, it was just such an amazing job by him. Like, the scene of him telling all the Fremen about that one Fremen's grandmother's past and how she died was just so unbelievably intense and chilling. And it's amazing that this movie doesn't completely miss the point, like the OG Dune, where they say, hey, Muad'Dib's the guy that's spreading love and hope throughout the galaxy. Like, no, you cannot walk away from this film with the wrong idea. Muad'Dib is not the good guy.